Going over Godzilla -1. Y'all, I think this movie is my favorite movie of the year. Truly, I would honestly say that this movie deserves a Best Picture nomination. I think it's as good as the other Best Picture frontrunners like Oppenheimer, Barbie. I think this totally stands on the same like quality lane as like all of those other movies. I truly do think it's that good. In fact, I think the lead actor for this movie should even get a Best Actor nom. I think the acting in this movie is incredible. Trust me, I am not into monster movies. In fact, this is the first monster movie I've ever seen that I've liked. So me saying I love this movie as much as I do is just about me loving the film as is, not because I care at all about the property, because I don't. I just think the movie on its own is really that good. The basic premise is it takes place in World War II Japan, where Japan has just gotten through this terrible, terrible war. And the movie centers around this guy here. He's the main lead. And it opens with him taking in this woman here and this child who are just looking for a nice place to sleep. They don't have anywhere to go. They don't have any food. They're basically just desperate, and he takes them in and kind of forms his own new family. It's a very heartwarming story. I think the reason why I like this movie so much is because the story is it's touching, but B, it's also super relatable because it focuses so much on just doing what you have to do to get by, but also protect your family. It really got to me in the feels. It really did. A huge theme about this movie is just protecting your loved ones, but also knowing what to fight for and like finding the will to live and survive. These are the kinds of big themes I was not expecting to be in a Godzilla movie, which I kind of associated Godzilla movies with just like campy pulpiness that didn't really take itself too seriously. So the fact that we're getting like these very, very serious themes about like, oh, what does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to survive? What does it mean to have like a will to live? What are we fighting for? What is life? What is the intrinsic value of a human person? Like, these are the themes that this movie goes over, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe we're actually going here, and they're doing it well. I feel like this is a movie. If I could recommend a movie that everyone in the world had to watch right now, it'd be this one. And here's why. This movie covers trauma. It covers like just mental illness and depression. The main character here, the reason why he's so like dead set on killing Godzilla in this movie is because he wants to protect his family. He wants to protect the future of his people, of Japan. And it all stems from the trauma of what he went through in the war. And the movie really like hammers that point home super, super hard. To the point where like every decision he makes in this movie is based around the fact that he has this PTSD from the war and this trauma, and like it really informs every decision he makes in this movie. And I felt that was just, not only it made him a really relatable and likable character, but it also made him like super well written and dynamic, because you understood every choice he made in this film, because you understood like the mental anguish he was under, because they made that so clear. And that's why I liked him so much as a character. One of the reasons why I don't like a lot of these like modern Hollywood movies is that like I find these main characters A, aren't that relatable, and B, they usually take everything, like they don't take anything too seriously. And something that I like about the main character in this, really all the main characters in this movie, is that they take everything super seriously, and they're very earnest about everything. There's no cynicism when they talk about, oh, you must live, you must survive. When they talk about things like the meaning of life and like relationships and love and all of this stuff, like none of it's done with like a tongue-in-cheek kind of humor like they would in an American film. I feel like it's all taken so seriously, and you feel like these characters genuinely care about each other, like these actors genuinely have fallen in love or something. Like you just genuinely believe it, because the characters, they take everything seriously. There's none of this like hollow cynicism that exists in so many American blockbusters, which I really liked. I thought the chemistry was great. I really liked this actress too. I thought she did a great job as well. I can't say enough good things. As you can tell, I really liked this movie quite a bit. It's not just that they delve on these themes, it's that they do it well too. I mean, again, as I mentioned, the main character in this movie, the guy, he's still dealing with like PTSD and trauma for going through the war. And the woman that's living in his house is like, oh, why are you like this? And the exact quote he says is that my war isn't over yet. And I kid you not, there were people in my audience who were literally like, oh, wow. There are people like literally like audibly like, oh wow, that was a good line. I have not been in a movie where the audience is like gasping from being impressed because people were just like, oh wow, that's a really nice way to say that. I can't believe you said that. Like, ooh, like I could tell the audience I was with was really feeling this movie. I know I'm not even talking about Godzilla. Some of you who haven't seen this movie are like, why are you talking about all this trauma? Why are you talking about Godzilla? Well, because this movie is about trauma, and that's what makes Godzilla so interesting. Because the reason why Godzilla is such like a fearsome badass in this movie is A, because I do like the design and how he's literally illustrated. I think he looks really cool, but also because you see the destruction that he causes and you care about the characters so much that you don't want him to hurt your favorite characters. So it makes him even more fearsome and even more scary because you're like, oh no, he could actually kill a character I care about. Imagine that, killing a character you care about. Like, again, so many blockbusters, the American blockbusters, I feel like have a problem with right now is that their main characters are usually just so blah and meh, like you don't even really care about them. Like, a character can die on screen and how many times you're just like, oh, well, that happened. Not in this movie. Literally anyone that dies in this, you're just like, oh no, not that guy. Because they actually make you really care about them. You care about everyone. The action scenes are also really cool, really intense. Like, this scene right here reminded me of the scene from the recent Mission Impossible movie. So not only is it like deeply emotional and all of these actions moments actually has like emotional weight to it, but they're also really coolly shot. You also get like a really cool sense of scale with Godzilla when he's fighting too. I chose this shot here because you can see there are some power wires that he's screaming over, and it's little details like this that they add to the like each frame just to show you a sense of scale that makes it super impressive. And like it's little details like this that just like really sells it for you. Like, oh man, this is a massive dude. Like, he makes those power wires look like tiny little violin strings. I also liked when he's gearing up to do his atomic blast. You can see all the spikes on his back like kind of prick up as the light glows. It really feels like a gun's being reloaded as he's about to do his atomic blast. That was really cool. Again, every time that he does his little atomic blast thing, it causes so much damage. It's basically like another atomic bomb happening again, and which they tied to the war, by the way, since they had just gone through the air raid. All of the citizens are like already weary about war and violence and having to clean up from destruction because they've just gone through all of that. So the fact that they have to deal with Godzilla now just makes everyone like extra weary and extra worried because they're like, oh no, not again. And then we see him do like the atomic blast in the city, and we even see like the big mushroom cloud that looks like an atomic bomb went off, and it's like it just ties it to the war again. Oh, there's so many layers to this movie. It's so good because even in one of the action sequences, they have a scene where they have a bunch of reporters standing on a building, and then like Godzilla attacks them, and you could actually see the top of the building falling, and this is one of the shots in it. And I'm like, this is such a cool shot. Like, just from seeing the perspective of people falling off the roof like that was really neat. And again, this movie cost $15 freaking million. Indiana Jones and the Marvels both cost $300 million, and we didn't see anything half as cool as this. How does this movie cost $15 million? I know we brought this up already, but like there's so many shots of the ships in the water, of Godzilla like destroying things, and it only cost $15 million. Like, what is Disney doing making like Haunted Mansion cost $150 million? Like, what are they doing with the money over there? I also like the acting too. I don't know, have you guys noticed? It's gotta be an American thing, or maybe it's just a Western thing, but something I've noticed from actors recently, like here in America, is that they think good acting means being as subtle as possible to be realistic. And while subtle acting definitely works for certain characters and certain circumstances, I do find it kind of frustrating sometimes because I feel like certain actors are underacting now. And I did not have this problem with Godzilla at all. There's a meeting between two characters. I won't spoil what happens, but there's a reunion between two characters where like the guy gave an Oscar-worthy performance in my opinion. And I'm just like, wow, compare this to freaking Ahsoka. If you guys saw Ahsoka, where there was also a reunion between two characters in that one, and they were both just like, sup, what's up, hi. Even though the entire season had led up to that moment. Compare and contrast that Ahsoka reunion to the reunion at the end of this movie. And it's like, oh yeah, some acting! Finally, something. I have to give this movie, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna be real. I give this movie a 9.5 out of 10. It is that good. I haven't given a single movie over a 9 rating this year, by the way. This is the first movie I've given above a 9 this year, and I gave it a 9.5. That's how good I think this movie is. I truly think it's incredible. You just watched a clip from the Brittney Reacts Show. Subscribe today to never miss a live stream, and I'll see you on the next video.